Hello and welcome to this edition of News Today. Without delay, let's have a look at the headlines first. Supreme Court prescribes time limits for governors to act on bills under Article 200. Centre announced fourth phase of amalgamation of regional rural banks. IUCN releases first green status assessment for the Lion. Ministry of Panchayati Raj introduces Panchayat Advancement Index to assess Gram Panchayat performance. Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology notifies Electronics Components Manufacturing Scheme. Preliminary findings of the GenomeIndia project published in the journal Nature Genetics. The Supreme Court has prescribed time limits for governors to act on bills under Article 200 of the Constitution. In a landmark ruling, the Supreme Court addressed the governor's powers concerning assent or withholding of assent to bills presented by the state legislature under Article 200 of the Constitution. To ensure complete justice, the Supreme Court invoked Article 142 to pass this order exercising its special powers. Now, coming to the key takeaways from the state of Tamil Nadu versus Governor of TN case. The Supreme Court ruled that the Constitution does not allow the governor to exercise an absolute veto or a pocket veto. The term "as soon as possible" in Article 200 underscores urgency in the governor's decision-making. To clarify, an absolute veto refers to withholding assent to a bill passed by the legislature, while a pocket veto is when the governor takes no action on a bill and keeps it pending indefinitely. The court further clarified that the governor cannot send a bill to the president once it is represented. If the bill remains unchanged, the governor must assent to it, unless it differs in content from the original one. In addition, the governor must act on the aid and advice of the state government. The court ruled that the governor has no discretion and must act as per the Council of Ministers' advice. The only exception to this is when the bill affects the powers of the High Court or the Supreme Court as provided under Article 200. To ensure expediency, the court has also established clear timelines for the governor's action under Article 200. Let's take a quick look at these timelines. Withholding assent or reserving for the president. The governor must act within 1 month. Returning the bill with a message. If withholding assent contrary to Council of Ministers' advice, the governor must return the bill within 3 months. Preservation of bills for the president, contrary to advice of the State Council of Ministers, must be done within 3 months. Granting assent to represented bills must be done within 1 month. Failure to comply with these timelines would make the governor's inaction subject to judicial review. Now, let's talk about the assent to bills under Article 200. Upon presentation of a bill, the governor shall either grant assent, withhold assent, reserve the bill for the president's consideration, or return it for reconsideration. In case of non-money bills, the governor may return the bill for reconsideration with recommendations for amendments. If the bill is repassed by the legislature with or without modifications, the governor is obligated to grant assent to it. And lastly, the governor may reserve a bill for the president if it threatens the power of the High Court. Moving ahead, the centre has announced the fourth phase of amalgamation of regional rural banks or RRBs. The Department of Financial Services has notified the amalgamation of 26 RRBs on the principles of one state, one RRB. Let's understand what this amalgamation is all about. Based on the Vyas Committee recommendations, the centre began consolidating RRBs in 2004-05. Through 3 phases, the number of RRBs was reduced from 196 to 43 by 2020-21. The legal provision for this consolidation lies under the Regional Rural Banks Act 1976. The guiding principle here is one state, one RRB, which means each state will have only one RRB sponsored by a major public sector bank. For example, in Bihar, Dakshin Bihar Gramin Bank and Uttar Bihar Gramin Bank will be combined into Bihar Gramin Bank. This new entity will be headquartered in Patna and sponsored by Punjab National Bank. Now, let's look at why RRBs are being merged. First, enhanced efficiency, meaning a stronger capital base, reduced overhead cost, and optimized staff resources. Second, reduced competition, to minimize competition among the different public sector banks that sponsor them. Third, future readiness, better positioning for AI, blockchain, and increased market competition. Fourth, enhanced customer service with improved technology, infrastructure, and a more skilled workforce. And fifth, expanded service portfolio, allowing for wider reach and the ability to offer more diverse, high-value banking services. Now moving on, let's quickly look at what RRBs are. They were set up in 1975 under the RRB Act 1976. Their primary aim is to provide credit and banking services to small farmers, laborers, artisans, and rural entrepreneurs to boost agriculture, trade, and small industries. RRBs are established by the central government on the request of a sponsor bank. In terms of ownership, they are jointly owned by the central government holding 50%, the state government with 15%, and the sponsoring bank with 35%. Let's now talk about how RRBs are supervised and regulated. They are regulated by the RBI under the Banking Regulation Act 1949. NABARD supervises RRBs. For tax purposes, they are treated as cooperative societies under the Income Tax Act 1961. Some key requirements also apply to them. RRBs must maintain a capital to risk weighted assets ratio or CRAR of 9% as per RBI norms. They must also allocate 75% of their adjusted net bank credit or ANBC or credit equivalent of off-balance sheet exposure or CEOBE, whichever is higher, to priority sector lending. The International Union for Conservation of Nature, better known as IUCN, has released the first ever green status assessment for the lion or Panthera leo. This new initiative adds a significant layer to global conservation efforts. While the IUCN Red List has long served as a vital tool for assessing the extinction risk of species, the green status complements it by measuring species recovery and evaluating the effectiveness of conservation actions. According to this inaugural assessment, the lion is currently classified as largely depleted on the green status scale. While it remains listed as vulnerable on the IUCN Red List, the green status reveals a deeper concern. Human activity continues to prevent the lion from functioning ecologically across its full range. The species has already become extinct in regions such as North Africa and Southwest Asia. Despite this, conservation efforts in areas like West and Southern Central Africa, South Africa, and India have played a significant role in preventing further extinctions, showcasing the impact of targeted intervention. To understand the foundation of this framework, it's important to look back to 2012, when the IUCN proposed the idea of creating green lists during the World Conservation Congress. These lists were envisioned as tools to measure conservation success, not just for species, but also for ecosystems and protected areas. The green status of species was introduced to fill a crucial gap. While the red list tells us how close a species is to extinction, the green status adds insight into how species can recover and what conservation actions are required. This expanded perspective allows the green status to highlight cases where a species may not be at immediate risk of extinction but still requires intervention to restore its presence and functionality across its historical range. The saltwater crocodile is a good example. Its extinction risk is low, yet its full ecological recovery remains incomplete. To bring nuance to recovery levels, the IUCN Green Status categorizes species across 8 stages, including extinct in the wild, critically depleted, largely depleted, moderately depleted, slightly depleted, fully recovered, non-depleted, and indeterminate. So far, more than 100 such assessments have been published on the IUCN Red List. A species is considered fully recovered if it meets 3 conditions. It must be present in all parts of its historical range, including areas previously lost to human impact. It should also be viable across its range, meaning it is not facing extinction threats. And finally, it must be performing its ecological functions in all parts of its habitat. These 3 criteria together determine a species' green score, which is measured on a scale from 0 to 100%, indicating how close it is to achieving full recovery. The green status, therefore, offers a more complete picture of conservation progress, reminding us that true success is not just about avoiding extinction, it's about restoring species to their rightful ecological roles. The Lion's first green status assessment marks a significant step in that direction. Moving ahead, the Ministry of Panchayati Raj has introduced the Panchayat Advancement Index or PAI to assess the performance of Gram Panchayats across the country. India has about 2.5 lakh Gram Panchayats and the data of around 2.16 lakh Panchayats from 29 states has been evaluated under this initiative. As defined under Article 243B of the Constitution, a Panchayat is an institution of self-government meant for rural areas. The PAI is a multi-domain, multi-sectoral index that focuses on the holistic development, performance and progress of panchayats. The primary aim of the PAI is to measure how well panchayats are achieving localized sustainable development goals or SDGs. It evaluates them across 9 development themes: poverty-free and enhanced livelihoods, health, child-friendliness, water sufficiency, cleanliness and greenery, self-sufficient infrastructure, social justice and security, good governance, and women-friendliness. These themes together reflect a comprehensive vision for rural development and effective local governance. Based on their performance in these areas, panchayats are categorized into 4 groups. Interestingly, not a single panchayat in India has made it to the achiever category so far. A majority, about 61.2%, fall into the aspirant category, indicating the need for considerable progress. About 36% have been identified as performers, showcasing moderate development. Leading the way, Gujarat has emerged as the top-ranking state with the highest number of panchayats in the front-runner category. This initiative by the ministry marks a move towards more targeted, theme-based development at the grassroots, aiming to drive India closer to inclusive and sustainable rural growth. The Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology has notified the Electronics Components Manufacturing Scheme. This scheme provides differentiated fiscal incentives for target segment products, taking into account the specific challenges faced by the industry. The objective is twofold. First, to develop a robust component manufacturing ecosystem by attracting both global and domestic investments across the value chain, which will lead to an increase in domestic value addition or DVA. And second, to enhance India's share in global electronic trade by integrating the domestic electronic industry with the global value chains or GVCs. As per the structure of the scheme, fiscal incentives are available in 3 formats: turnover-linked incentive, capex incentive, and a hybrid incentive. Under the tenure framework, the turnover-linked incentive will be provided for 6 years, with an additional optional gestation year, effectively making it a 6+1 year model. For capital expenditure support, incentives will be applicable for investments made within 5 years from the date of project approval. The scheme is open to both greenfield, new, and brownfield projects, thus providing flexibility and inclusiveness in participation. Regarding its implementation, the base year has been set as FY 2024-25 and the Project Management Agency or PMA has been designated as the nodal agency for executing and overseeing the scheme. Now, turning to the broader context. Why does India need to strengthen its domestic manufacturing of electronic components? The foremost reason is national security. India's dependence on foreign manufactured electronic components, particularly for defense and critical infrastructure, poses potential risks such as data breaches and supply chain disruptions. Adding to this concern is the fact that China and Hong Kong account for 56% of India's total imports in the electronics, telecom, and electrical products category, as highlighted by the Global Trade Research Initiative or GTRI. Although India's domestic electronics production has seen significant growth, rising from 1.90 lakh crore rupees in FY15 to 9.52 lakh crore rupees in FY24, this increase has been accompanied by a rise in component imports. This is primarily due to the underdeveloped local capacity for component manufacturing, despite progress in and product assembly. The scheme arrives at a strategic moment as global companies look to diversify supply chains beyond China under the China Plus One strategy. India has a real opportunity to position itself as a preferred destination for investments in component and sub-assembly manufacturing. This potential is further underscored by the rapid growth of electronics as an industry driven by digitization, making it one of the fastest growing sectors globally. Importantly, the scheme also aims to tackle structural challenges that have long held the sector back. These include high capital cost, long gestation periods, low profit margins, and lack of scale, all concerns that have been raised by Niti Aayog. By addressing these issues through targeted incentives and policy support, the government seeks to create a more resilient, self-reliant, and globally competitive electronics ecosystem. In our next news, preliminary findings of the GenomeIndia project have been published in the journal Nature Genetics. The findings revealed 180 million genetics variants from 9,772 individuals across India. A gene variant is a permanent change in the DNA sequence that makes up a gene. A genome is the entire set of the genetic material, DNA or RNA in sum, present in an individual or species. Now, about the study. It covered both tribal and non-tribal groups of Tibeto-Burman, Indo-European, Dravidian, and other tribal groups including Austroasiatic and admixed populations. Both non-sex chromosomes known as autosomes as well as sex chromosomes X and Y were studied. Now, why does this study matter? For one, it helps in understanding the unique genetic makeup of the population. About 0.1% of the entire sequence differs between any two individuals. These genetic variations among individuals are crucial for understanding our disease predispositions and rare inherited disorders. It will also help in understanding the history, natural selection, and adaptation of these communities. Additionally, the study supports the building of a reference panel, which could facilitate creating a variant panel useful for future small-scale studies, helping fill in missing data and link genes to diseases in the Indian population. It also holds application in healthcare, from developing low-cost diagnostic kits to furthering precision medicine efforts by aiding in disease diagnosis and predicting the genetic basis of drug responses. Beyond that, it will help in advancing public health interventions as well. Let's now look at the key aspects of the GenomeIndia project. Under the section of Genesis, the project was initiated by the Department of Biotechnology in 2020 with collaboration of 20 institutions to map India's genetic diversity. Coming to its objective, the primary aim is to construct a comprehensive catalogue of genetic variations of the Indian population that will better capture our unique diversity. In terms of achievement, whole genome sequencing has been completed for 10,000 samples towards creating a comprehensive catalogue of India's unique genetic diversity. Finally, as for data storage, it is being housed at the Indian Biological Data Centre or IBDC in Faridabad, Haryana. In today's Place in News, we will be discussing Slovakia with its capital, Bratislava. The country is currently in the spotlight as the President of India has arrived in Slovakia. Let's take a closer look at some key political and geographical features of the nation. Slovakia is a landlocked country located in Central Europe. It shares its borders with Poland to the north, Ukraine to the east, Hungary to the south, Austria to the southwest, and the Czech Republic to the northwest. Politically, Slovakia is a member of the European Union. Geographically, the country is marked by prominent natural features. The Carpathian Mountains, particularly the High Tatras, form the highest and most scenic part of the range within Slovakia. In addition, the country lies within the Danube River basin, with the Danube River itself forming a part of the border between Slovakia and Hungary. As we conclude today's main news, let's have a look at some quick updates. The Crown Prince of Dubai is on his first official visit to India. This visit has resulted in several key outcomes. During the visit, it was announced that IIM Ahmedabad will open a campus in Dubai, along with an overseas campus of the Indian Institute of Foreign Trade. CCI has procured 100 lakh bales of seed cotton under minimum support price or MSP operations. Cotton Corporation of India Limited is a public sector undertaking under Ministry of Textiles. It was established in 1970 and its major role is to undertake price support operations without any quantitative limit. Ministry of Earth Sciences launched Ice Crunch and also inaugurated India's first high-altitude climate research station. Ice crunch or ice nucleating particles and cloud condensation nuclei properties in the northwestern Himalayas is a collaborative study between scientists of India and Switzerland. A study by IIT Kharagpur reveals that surface ozone pollution is severely affecting major food crops, especially in the Indo-Gangetic Plain and central India. Ozone is a secondary pollutant formed by chemical reactions between nitrogen oxides and volatile organic compounds in the presence of sunlight. The Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship has collaborated with the World Economic Forum to launch the India Skills Accelerator initiative. The India Skills Accelerator is a national public-private collaboration platform aimed at facilitating cross-sectoral innovation and solutions in skill development. IEPFA and IPPB have signed a MOA to jointly launch Phase 2 of the Niveshak Didi initiative. Niveshak Didi was launched by India Post Payments Bank in collaboration with Investor Education and Protection Fund Authority. It is a unique initiative that trains women postal workers, a female dakia, and community leaders to act as financial educators within their local regions. A report is launched by United Nations Maternal Mortality Estimation Interagency Group or MMEIG. This group comprises of WHO, UNICEF, UNFPA, the World Bank Group and the UNDESA or Population Division. Reducing maternal mortality to less than 70 maternal deaths per 100,000 live births by 2030 is one of the targets of Sustainable Development Goals. The Rajasthan government told the Supreme Court it is considering a total mining ban with 10 kilometers of Chittorgarh Fort. Chittorgarh Fort is located at Rajasthan. It was built by a local Mori Rajput ruler Chitramgada Mori in the 7th century. Before we sign off, let's challenge your understanding in today's installment of Test Your Learning. Thank you for joining us. We hope you found this episode of News Today engaging. For the solutions to the quiz and to access the PDF version of News Today, remember to visit the provided links in the description below.